What if I told you that right now, millions of people on Earth are living in a different year than you? Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. While most of the world says it's 2026, one ancient nation says it's 2018. And no, they're not confused. Tonight, we're uncovering a story that challenges something you've trusted your entire life. The calendar. Who decided what year it is? Was it science, religion, politics, power? In this documentary, you will discover the hidden miscalculation that may have shifted global history by years. The monk whose math quietly shaped the modern world. Why Ethiopia preserved a different Christian timeline. How colonization exported not just borders, but time itself. And the unsettling question no one asks, are they behind, or are we? This is not just about dates. This is about identity, authority, and the illusion of universal truth. By the end of this video, you will never look at a calendar the same way again. Welcome to Tales of History. Please hit the subscribe button, put us on post notification, share, like, and let's study together. Now, let's begin. A country living in another year. Ethiopia is not living in the same year as the rest of the world. While most of the planet calls it 2026, Ethiopia calls it 2018. This is not a joke, a typo, or a forgotten update. It is intentional, deliberate, and deeply historical. For centuries, Ethiopia has followed a calendar system that predates modern Europe, survived empires, resisted colonization, and refused religious pressure. To understand why Ethiopia is behind, we must first understand who decided what year it is for the rest of the world. Who controls time? Calendars are not neutral. They are tools of power. Every major civilization, from the Egyptians to the Romans, created calendars not just to track days, but to control agriculture, religion, taxation, and authority. To decide the year is to decide history itself. When Rome ruled the ancient world, it imposed its calendar. When Christianity spread, it reshaped time around Christ. And when Europe rose to dominance, it exported its calendar to the world. Ethiopia stood apart, the Roman calendar and the birth of global time. The modern calendar used today, the Gregorian calendar, is not ancient truth. It is a 16th century European correction. Before it, Rome used the Julian calendar, introduced by Julius Caesar in 45 BCE. It assumed a year was 365.25 days long. Close, but wrong by 11 minutes. That small error accumulated. Over centuries, seasons drifted. Religious holidays no longer aligned with astronomical reality. Europe panicked. The Gregorian rewrite of time. In 1582, Pope Gregory XIII made a radical decision. He erased 10 days from history. Thursday, October 4th, was followed immediately by Friday, October 15th. The world lost time, not by accident, but by decree. The Gregorian calendar became law in Catholic Europe. Later, through colonization and trade, it became the global standard. But Ethiopia never accepted it. Ethiopia's ancient Christian clock. Ethiopia adopted Christianity in the 4th century, before most of Europe. Its church developed independently, preserving early Christian texts and traditions almost elsewhere. Crucially, Ethiopia calculated the birth of Jesus differently. While Europe placed Christ's birth around 1 AD, Ethiopian scholars, using older biblical sources, dated it 7 to 8 years earlier. That difference still defines time today. 13 months of sunshine. Ethiopia's calendar has 13 months, 12 months of 30 days, and a 13th month, Pagume, with 5 days, or 6 in leap years. This system mirrors ancient Egyptian timekeeping, not Roman design. It is mathematically elegant, astronomically stable, and culturally sacred. Are they behind, or are we wrong? Ethiopia is not behind in time. It is living by a different truth. A truth preserved through resistance, against Rome, against Europe, against cultural erasure. To Ethiopia, the world did not move forward. The world changed its mind. In this part, you will cover Jesus' missing years, biblical chronology, Ethiopian resistance to European time, and colonial pressure. Part 3 will explore modern Ethiopia, New Year, clocks, and global misconceptions. But before we continue, kindly subscribe, like, share, and let me know your thought in the comment section. Put in the comment section the history of something you want to hear, and I promise to bring it to you. Thank you. And now let's continue. The missing years of Jesus. Everything changes when we ask one dangerous question. What if the world miscalculated the birth of Jesus Christ? The Gregorian calendar is built on a system called Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. It was created in the 6th century by a monk named Dionysius Exiguus. His task was to calculate the year of Christ's birth. He made an error. Modern historians now widely agree that Jesus was likely born between 4 and 7 BCE, several years earlier than 1 AD. That means the foundation of the global calendar is built on a miscalculation. Ethiopia's different calculation. Ethiopian scholars did not rely solely on Dionysius's Roman system. They preserved older Alexandrian Christian traditions, chronologies that calculated Christ's birth differently. According to the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, the Annunciation and Incarnation timeline placed Jesus' birth several years earlier than the Roman count. That difference, roughly 7 to 8 years, is why Ethiopia's calendar today appears behind. But in truth, it may reflect an older calculation. The power of a date. A few years may not sound significant, but when you build global history, international law, scientific timelines, and political anniversaries around a number, that number becomes power. When Europe rose through colonization, trade, and industrialization, it exported not just language and borders, but time itself. To accept the Gregorian calendar was to accept European authority. Ethiopia did not. The empire that resisted. Ethiopia is one of the only African nations never fully colonized. While European powers carved up the continent in the 19th century, Ethiopia defeated Italy at the Battle of Adwa in 1896. It remained sovereign. With sovereignty comes control over land, language, religion, and time. Adopting the Gregorian calendar would have meant surrendering a sacred rhythm of identity. They chose preservation over pressure. 13 months and a different clock. The Ethiopian calendar contains 13 months, but that is not the only difference. Ethiopia also tells time differently during the day. While the Western clock begins at midnight, Ethiopian time begins at sunrise. What the world calls 7 a.m. is 1 in Ethiopia. It is not confusion. It is alignment with the sun. Ancient, agricultural, rhythmic, Enkutatash, the Ethiopian New Year. Ethiopia celebrates its New Year. and Kutatash on September 11th or 12th during leap years. While much of the world prepares for autumn, Ethiopia welcomes a new year with flowers, songs, and renewal after the rainy season. The shift is astronomical, tied to seasonal cycles of the Horn of Africa. It is a reminder that calendars are shaped by geography, the psychological shock. When outsiders first hear that Ethiopia is 7 years behind, the reaction is laughter, then confusion, then disbelief. But that reaction reveals something deeper. We assume the global system is neutral truth. What if it is simply the most dominant version? Time as identity. For Ethiopia, the calendar is not merely a tool. It is theology. It is resistance. It is continuity. Through invasions, religious pressure, and modernization, Ethiopia preserved a timeline rooted in early Christianity and African scholarship. In a world reshaped by empires, Ethiopia kept its own clock ticking. Are they behind, or are we? If Jesus was born earlier than 1 AD, if Dionysius miscalculated, if the Gregorian correction was political as much as astronomical, then the question changes. Ethiopia may not be living in the past. It may be living closer to the original calculation. The illusion of universal time. Time feels absolute, but history shows it is negotiated, edited, corrected, imposed. Ethiopia's calendar stands as a quiet defiance, a reminder that even something as universal as the year itself can be rewritten. So the next time someone says Ethiopia is behind, ask them, behind whom? Before we conclude, please do us a favor by hitting the subscribe button. Like, share, and let me know your thought in the comment section. Also put in the history of any event that occurred in the past, and I promise to bring you the detailed history about it. Thank you. Let's conclude. Time feels permanent. It feels universal. It feels unquestionable. But history has shown us something different. Time can be calculated, recalculated, corrected, imposed. The year you write today is not simply a fact of nature. It is the result of decisions made centuries ago, by scholars, by religious leaders, by empires. Ethiopia did something rare. In a world reshaped by conquest and conformity, it kept its own rhythm, its own chronology, its own calculation, its own identity. So perhaps the real question was never why Ethiopia is 7 years behind. Perhaps the real question is, who decides what now means? And if history can shift something as fundamental as the year itself, what else have we accepted without question?